Believe it or not, but there are countries that are not affected by COVID. There's many places that you can visit where you can live where you don't have to worry about all these restrictions. Today I'm going to give you 3 countries that are very open, and we're also going to have a look at one country that is doing the exact opposite of what people want. We're definitely living in challenging times when it comes to our own personal freedom. It has never been more difficult to travel abroad. It is just not a good time for someone to go out there and start exploring the world. In fact, now is the time when a lot of people are like, you know what, I don't want to travel. Not because they don't want to travel, but because they don't want to put themselves through all the hassle that's involved, such as getting a PCR test done, such as getting vaccinated. You know, there's some people that are not for that, they're not in. And we can definitely see that this is the main reason why people are not traveling as much anymore. And I do think one of the best examples of a country that put a ton of restrictions on its own citizens is Australia, because Australia has had a really, really tough time. They delayed the vaccine rollout for months, very similar to other Southeast Asian countries, but on top of that, they put many more restrictions on their own citizens than other countries did. I know several Australians living in Asia that would like to go back home, but they can't do that at the moment. And there's thousands of Australians stranded in India and other countries, and they just can't get back into Australia. This is really tough, and it's not only that people cannot get back into the country or that people cannot leave their own country, it's also that they put so many restrictions. They had lockdown after lockdown after lockdown, which forced many businesses into bankruptcy. There's a lot of people, in fact, I have personal friends in Australia, and one of them, he owned a gym, and he had a horrible time because it was not possible for him to open up the gym. And guess what? He continued to pay his rent because he could not easily get out with all his stuff, like the equipment. He invested a lot of money. So it was a very difficult decision for him to stay, but he decided to stay, and the government just continued with more lockdowns, and it was just at a point when he couldn't take it anymore. And yeah, Australia is definitely a prime example for a country that took a very, very difficult approach to take for its own citizens. Enough said about Australia. Let's have a look at some countries that are open, some countries that don't have any restrictions right now. First up, we have Colombia. Now, Colombia was closed during some months in 2020. However, things have changed since then. Right now, if you want to go to Colombia, you don't need a negative PCR test, you don't need to be vaccinated, no quarantine, nothing. You can just go to the country, and I think that's what people are looking for right now. I think people are a little bit tired of complying with all these restrictions, and it's already very tough to do in the place where you live. For those who want to visit Colombia, let's have a look at some of the facts. So Colombia is located in the northern part of South America. It also has some very nice beach area on the Caribbean. And the places that are most popular in Colombia are Medellin, Bogota, and Cartagena. If you want to live in Colombia, you have to understand that it's more of a family-centric life. So Colombians, more in general, I would say Latin Americans, Latinos, are very family-oriented. So this is a great place if you're looking to make friends, if you're looking to hang out. In terms of expat communities, or if you're looking for co-working spaces, there's plenty of options across Colombia. Most of them are obviously in the most popular city, which is Medellin. Medellin has pretty decent climate throughout the year. It's not too cold, it's not too hot. It's just a really good, healthy climate. If we take a look at Bogota, on the other hand, a very different city. It's the capital. In terms of climate, much colder, but you still have this great digital nomad community. You have a ton of expats, great dating opportunities if you're after that. These two cities, they don't have the ocean, so if you want more of a beach lifestyle, then I would highly recommend you to try Cartagena. If you want to rent an apartment in Colombia, you can get a fully furnished one-bedroom apartment for $200 to $250 $200. And in case you are a person that prefers more of a Western style apartment, you're looking for nice furniture, they're definitely more expensive. So a fully furnished Western style 1-bedroom apartment is probably going to cost you about $400 to $600, and probably $700 to $900 for a fully furnished 3-bedroom apartment. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Mexico, because Mexico has been extremely liberal throughout this pandemic. I know that the country had some lockdowns going on in 2020, and it was a little bit difficult to travel there for a couple months, but right now the country is fully open. And just like Colombia, if you go to Mexico, you don't need to do a PCR test, don't need to be vaccinated, no quarantine. It's just really comfortable to go to Mexico right now. Now, things may be different when you return to your home country. The requirements may be very different. So make sure you inform yourself about all this in advance before you book the flight, before you invest the money, because for someone that's now coming back to the United States, they need to get a negative PCR test done. Whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated doesn't matter. In Mexico, multinational factories and businesses have stayed open during most of the pandemic, and the country has really prioritized building a strong reputation for itself. Many businesses were closed during a couple months of 2020, but again, things have normalized and everything is back to normal in Mexico. If you want to visit or live in Mexico, I wanted to give you a couple facts about the country here. So Mexico is located at the southern part of North America. It has beautiful mountainous cities such as Mexico City, Guadalajara, Querétaro. I mean, there's a ton on offer. If you want more of the European lifestyle, the European vibe, then central Mexico is definitely the way to go. And if you want something more tropical, then Mexico has something to offer for you as well. You can go to Cancun or the island of Cozumel. Climate-wise, if you're in central Mexico, so Mexico City or Querétaro, for instance, if you're on that side, then you have to understand that the climate is going to be a little bit cool during winter. How do we look community-wise? Now, Mexico, you have to know, it's the most popular country in Latin America. There's about 1 million expats living in Mexico. That's 1 million people. That's a lot. And there's a lot of digital nomad communities. There's a ton of co-working spaces. Like, you find co-working spaces literally all over Mexico. Cost of living wise, Mexico is really affordable, and a lot of people that come to Mexico, especially Americans and Canadians, they find it to be very inexpensive. Renting an apartment in Mexico can be a lot cheaper than in the US. In fact, a lot of people pay only about 30 to 50% of what they're used to paying in the US. If you want to rent a fully furnished 1-bedroom apartment, if it's outside the center, probably going to cost you $200 to $300 a month. If it's inside the center, then it's going to be probably more like $300 to $450 a month. A 3-bedroom apartment probably going to cost you $600 to $800 if it's in downtown, or $400 to $600 outside the city. Many people love Mexican food, and it's actually very inexpensive. So you can have a meal outside and probably not pay more than $3 to $4. All right, let's move over to Europe, and there's a couple countries that have really been liberal during the past 18 months. And one of those countries is Sweden. Weather-wise, if you like it hot and humid, then Sweden is not for you, okay? It's not the country for a person looking for a tropical climate. It's just not going to be for you. However, in case you like 4 seasons, it's going to be short summers, long winters, so get ready for that. Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and also Eastern Europe, places like Hungary have been very open. They have no restrictions in place right now. They're probably not going to reverse at this point in time, where a lot of Western countries may still reverse, depending on politics and depending on how things go. They did not put their people in that awkward situation. A lot of people now look at Sweden and they're like, okay, Sweden has its own currency. It's not tied to the euro. That's good. And I think like, okay, Sweden did not participate in a lot of the things that happened over the past 18 months. If you want to travel to Sweden right now, you do need to have something, okay? A negative PCR test, proof of vaccination. Otherwise, you cannot get in. But restriction-wise, it is not a problem anymore in the country. So everything is open, it's business as usual. And it's not a bad place to be right now. All right, let's have a look at some of the facts. Sweden is a Scandinavian country located in Northern Europe. Climate-wise, like I said at the beginning, Sweden is a little bit of a tough ball, okay? So you're gonna have cold, long winters and short, not so hot summers. How do we look lifestyle and culture-wise? Sweden embraces a corporate culture that encourages people to have really good work-life balance. And the country offers excellent public services. Cost of living is definitely not as cheap as in Latin America. If you want to rent a fully furnished one-bedroom apartment, expect to pay $600 to $800 and $1,000 to $1,400 for a fully furnished three-bedroom apartment. Dining out in Sweden is also not that cheap, but it's also not that expensive. So if you want to have a meal outside, one person, it's probably going to be $10 to $15. Sweden offers really good, fast internet. Like you can get 60 to 100 megabyte per second easily in most places. Have you been or lived in any of the countries we just talked about? If so, leave a comment below and let us know. I got 2 recommendations for you. 1, I shot a video on the best countries for single guys. If you want to watch this video, then click on the link that appears right here. 2, I shot another video on the safest and cheapest countries to live in the world. These are perfect places if you are on a tight budget and want to have a great quality of life. So, you click on the link that appears right here to watch this video now. Make sure to subscribe and turn on alerts to receive a notification when I upload the next video on digital nomad locations, visas, and travel updates. Thank you for watching.